I'm recording again. Oh, okay. All right. So, she...
Yeah, her first few years at school, she went to a country school down by Malcolm. No, it wasn't country school either. It was in the basement of the Malcolm school. And it really, didn't look much like a classroom. But that's where they were. And
How many people were in her class?
Oh, I'm sorry. But then when after they built Pleasant Hill, then she rode one bus, and Bob Ashby picked her up right at the door, and she went straight to Marshalltown.
And that was we lived...
It was on the dairy farm.
Much closer. We were on the other side of Marshalltown. Grinnell was in between Marshalltown and our farm, so it was actually a pretty far trip. It was like 45-minute bus ride for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So 45 to and from. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a long bus ride. Mm-hmm. How long does it take for you to ride your bus, kiddo?
45 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay. You're on the bus 45 minutes? Wow. Okay.
Really?
I don't know. Okay. So, okay.
Bus gets here at 7:30, and we get there by about 8:20.
Okay. So, Janet, you found out she had Down syndrome. Jack's walking really good. Oh, wow. I almost turned around. Wow.
That's a big boy.
At what age did she learn to walk and talk?
Actually, I expected to be much later. She walked, I think when she was like a year and a half. I didn't expect her to walk until later. Because, they said everything would be, put back. But I was surprised.
At walking, what about talking?
She'd say a few words, but of course some of them were hard to understand. Her speech wasn't
Are you
that
sure
plain.
Yes, it is. Okay, kiddo, the red light's on, so it's recording.
Yeah, but you stopped it 2 times already in between.
But then I started it again. The red is if the red light's
But
on,
that
it's
says
recording.
it's only been on 2 minutes.
Because it's a new recording.
So then it's all gonna be split in parts.
It'll be broken up into parts, and that's okay.
Okay.
So, for instance, Janet couldn't say all of our names.
No.
She had her own name for each of
Yeah,
us. Like
yeah.
Shirley was Hess or Hess.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And
Or maybe that was Marsha.
okay, do you remember what she called?
Dom. She called Pam Dom.
Okay.
I think she probably said your name better than anybody's.
What about Gary's name?
I don't remember how she said Gary's name. Been too long. Should have done this 20 years ago.
Well, we should ask some of the kids.
Yeah, maybe they will remember how she pronounced her name better than I do.
Janet was a couple years older than me, so she, I don't recall a lot of stuff from her. I don't recall anything from her, toddlerhood or anything. Can you talk about Janet used to go out and get lost? She would just go off on her own.
Yeah.
And
she didn't announce to anybody that she was going outside or leaving, and so she'd just be gone, and we wouldn't know where she was. And when you called her name, she would never answer, ever.
And we lived on a dairy farm which was actually north of the interstate. The house was a couple miles.
Our house
a
was
mile.
set off the road.
Not even a mile from the interstate.
Oh,
it was like half a mile.
Not even that far, probably.
Oh. And there was a cornfield between our house and the interstate. But sometimes, and so we'd all go out in the cornfield looking for Janet. And some of us would go down the gravel road because she would sometimes get on her bike and just start riding down the road.
But even before she had the bike, though, she was, even when she was younger than that.
So how old was she when she was doing that?
6, 7. And she didn't have a bike then. She
Oh,
didn't have
yeah.
a bike till she was a teenager, I don't think. But
Okay.
she got on the gravel road, and 2 ladies from the Bethel Church picked her up and brought her home. She was out. She was probably down near, getting close to Ashby's house.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Where an Allspaw's house.
Wow.
When she was little, did she have go to any sports or activities? and
She
stuff,
went,
like,
no, not sports, but she did get to be a cheerleader when she was at Pleasant Hill School.
was she good at splits?
Oh, no.
Oh, well, because Missy was talking about how kids with Down syndrome, young kids, are especially flexible.
Uh-huh.
And I thought I remembered Janet was able, because Janet was very slender up until,
Yeah, it was, I don't know, 14, 15,
Okay.
something like that.
and so I guess I thought I remembered that she could,
Well,
do weird things with her
I think she could, yeah.
fingers
She
and,
splits?
and
I don't
arms.
know.
and-
She may have. I don't remember.
Oh,
that.
okay.
I don't.
One of the biggest things I remember about Jenna when she was a kid is that she loved animals. Like we had this dog named Tippy, and Tippy was abused by my cousin, whose name was Keith Keenan, and so we took Tippy somehow. We got Tippy away from him, and Tippy was very scared and had just a tip of a tail. That's why it's called Tippy. The tail was only like an inch or two long.
Why was
And
it inch or too long?
it wasn't cut off or anything. It was just
No,
it was just that's
the
for
way
that
those dogs work.
for that breed of dog, whatever the breed was. And
I don't think they bobbed them when they were little. I think they
Okay.
were just born that way.
but Tippy was just scared of almost everyone
Yeah.
because it had been abused. But except for Janet. Janet could pick up Tippy and do everything with it. Tippy was not scared at all of Janet. That's the one of the biggest things I remember.
In fact, I think if you tried to get Tippy to come to you, I think he even kind of crouched, didn't he?
Yeah,
So-
he would not come to people. He was a very sweet dog, but
But she still, every once in a while, she still talks about them.
yeah, wow, wow. Janet's really good at remembering everyone's birthdays.
Not so much now.
Oh, okay, but she was always really
Dad's birthday is September 18th.
17th.
I was so close. I remember that Missy's and Dad are really close together, and I keep.
For some reason, Janet, remember, would continually throw her shoes over into the hog lot, and the hog pigs would chew on them.
Oh, hey, yeah. That
Why?
All the time.
Why was she so on?
I don't, just something to do. I just think she liked to see the pigs chew on them. And she'd walk over to the hog lot, take her shoes off, or throw them over the fence, and of course they were just cheapy sandal things or thongs or something
Oh.
like that, but still had to replace several pairs of shoes.
Okay, so okay, well, we can. How did the rest of the kids do around Janet after they found out, that she had Down
You
syndrome?
mean siblings?
Yeah, the rest of the siblings. Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
Then,
Okay.
I have a few more questions.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what this means, but do you believe in ESP?
It means extrasensory perception. It's like a sixth sense, also like psychic abilities. Like, can you read people's minds or predict the future, or
Okay.
no, I don't.
What things are always the same, even though the world seems to have changed so much?
What things are always the same?
Even though the world seems to have changed so much.
That's too complicated. What things are always the same? Oh, things like love for family, love of family, God.
are you religious?
Yes.
So okay, so you do believe in God and heaven,
Yes.
and okay.
Yes.
And did you go to church a lot when you were a kid?
I went to Sunday school as a kid in Newburgh. I don't remember staying for church very often. And my parents didn't go to church regularly until we moved back to Newburgh. When we moved back to Newburgh, then
From Ladora.
then they went to church. And Dad belonged to the men's club in church, and Mom was in the women's fellowship, and I went to Sunday school, and so did my brother and sister, and Howard and I don't think Eleanor sang in the choir, but Howard and I sang in the church choir. But at that time, it was all made up of high school kids.
I have a few more questions. What was it when you were you like 16 when Martin Luther King Jr. was shot?
16?
Oh no, I was older than that.
18? What was it like for you to hear that I Have a Dream speech and know that you were shot? Okay.
I was actually 5 years old, I think, when,
No.
or around, so she would have been.
22.
Close.
32?
She was born in 1934.
Yeah, that's
So,
Okay.
okay.
Do you
32
remember?
would be closer.
Do you remember the first election you voted in?
Oh, I think I voted the first chance I got. Let's see, who would it have been?
Well, let's see,
Is
if
it
you were born in
Truman?
34, it would have been, 54 roughly,
I'm thinking Truman or Eisenhower. I can't remember.
because the voting age wasn't changed to 18 until like the Vietnam War era, right? So I think it was, voting age would have been about 20 maybe when you were,
I haven't known. Oh,
So that'd have been-
I think it was 21.
okay, so that'd have been like,
Okay. Oh,
maybe, would that have been like Eisenhower and Stevenson? Adlai Stevenson and Dwight Eisenhower?
I think it was Eisenhower that I voted for.
Okay. But it would have been that election, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, kiddo.
what would you have believed then if someone had told you that within your lifetime you would make a trip to the moon and back when you were a kid?
Oh, I probably wouldn't have believed it.
Who was the most famous person you've ever met?
I don't know that. Anybody famous?
Master of the National Grange?
Probably, yeah. And that person wasn't famous.
Kiddo. So you haven't really met?
Anybody?
Oh, do you want to ask more?
Okay. Other one. Let me just think of it. I forgot it. Oh, I got it. Were you alive when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated?
Yeah, what were you doing when Lincoln was shot?
No.
Yeah.
How old? You weren't alive?
No.
No, that was in the 1860s.
Was your grandma alive?
70s.
Did she?
Yeah, my grandma probably.
Did she tell you what it was like for her?
How about this?
When-
What'd you do for fun when you were a kid? Okay, you don't.
Went out and kicked rocks.
Well, my question was kind of like that, except
we played hide and go seek and Annie over.
What's Annie
And
over?
work up.
What's that?
Annie over? Oh, it's when you throw a ball over a building. There, it's, 4 or 5 kids, or so many kids on one side of the building and same amount on the other, and you throw the ball over, and if they catch it before it hits the ground, then whoever catches it, I think the whole bunch runs around to the other side, and if you tag those kids, touch them before they get around to the side where you came from, then it's your turn to throw the ball
what?
over the building.
I think I played this when I was a kid, but I didn't know it's called Annie over. But okay, so you throw the ball, and then if they catch it,
Before it bounces on the ground.
well, how do you know if they catch it or not? If you're on the other side of the
They're
building.
supposed to be truthful.
Oh, it's the honor system. Okay, well that never works.
I think if they don't catch it, if it hits the ground first, I think they'd have to throw it back.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
Okay, so then once they catch it, then they get to run around to the other side of the building. How do you know if they've caught it and are running around to the building? Do they yell?
You just wait till they show up on your side.
Oh, okay.
And then what do you do?
And then you have to try to get to their side before they catch you.
Oh, so, and they just had to tag you or something?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. And what was the other game? Workup?
Workout. That's baseball. You
Oh.
don't have teams.
I have a few more questions.
Well, Grandma's still explaining
You don't
this.
have
so hold on.
teams. You just have the players, a catcher, pitcher, first baseman, and you rotate. I mean, if it's your turn to bat, after you have batted, then you go out to the outfield, and then when someone else if you get on base and get home again, then you have to go out the outfield. So you have to start out in the outfield and you work up to third base. You have to play at third base and then second base at first base, and then catcher and pitcher. I think so. You just rotate players.
What was
Good.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite sport when you were a kid, and what is now?
We didn't have any chance to play basketball until I got in 8th grade. So when I guess it was baseball, softball or baseball.
And what's your favorite sport now?
Of course, I don't play any, but
To watch
I
or
guess I
something?
prefer to watch basketball, probably.
Oh, Grandma played basketball in high school, too. Yeah.
Well,
Did you know that? And
That's
your
hard
team
to
was
believe.
pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were, for a small school, we were pretty good. We were so, I don't know, we didn't have the confidence to think that we could get very far, and those small schools do, but we thought we'll never get a state tournament. But we were champions of the Rock Creek Lake Conference.
Oh, wow.
And we tied with Sully for first place for another different year.
And how many kids were in your high school class?
12.
Yeah, so that's small, isn't it?
oh, I have a good question.
Okay.
I have a few good questions. What were you gonna name Glenn before Kenneth if he was a girl?
Oh, honey, I don't remember.
What about Marsha if he was a boy?
I don't remember.
What about Shirley?
I don't remember.
What about Pam? What about Gary?
Sorry.
Okay. When you were a kid, since you didn't have any TV, what did you do most of the day to keep you from being bored?
I read a lot. But our only source, we didn't go to the library and read a lot. It's probably established, but we didn't ever go, but we had books at school that we could check out during the school year.
What was your average report card when you were young?
Well, I'll
What
give
were
you
your
3
average
guesses.
All A's?
Except deportment, I think.
You said what?
Deportment was, you got graded on your conduct.
What was that?
Behavior.
Yeah?
Yeah, in grade.
So you
What
didn't-
was that?
Huh?
What was that?
Oh, I think everybody just got it like a C or a B, because you considered average.
Oh.
I have a few report cards that.
Now, when I get a B, I'll tell you it's average.
C is average, but
Yeah.
When I get an F, I'll tell you it's average,
Okay,
which
well.
I never will get an F, so you don't have to worry.
yeah, we just had Joe's parent-teacher conference. It was originally,
This is about Grandma.
beginning of real quick, beginning of April, but they schedule a separate thing for me when I go to pick up Joe from school. So I met with her teacher on Friday, and she's getting all A's.
Well, wonderful.
And she said she's a pleasure to have in class.
And that I'm a
she's-
really good writer and artist.
Yep. So very good.
You like to draw? Do you really? Good.
Okay. Do you have any other questions you want to ask? Real quick, from the book. Okay, what? Go ahead.
What? Were you really short when you were a kid, or were you just average short? Or were you tall, or you were average tall?
I think I was pretty average, but I
Average
was,
short or average tall?
but I was taller than some girls. I was 5.
I'm taller than. In what grade were you? 5-something.
Oh, in high school I was like 5.
What about 5th grade?
Oh, I don't remember, honey. I don't. I don't think I don't ever remember being measured. Maybe Mom and
We
Dad
have this
measured
big
us.
measuring scale at my house.
We didn't have marks on the wall at my house.
Okay, so I want to ask you some questions about like your and Dad's relationship.
Okay.
Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. So how did you and Dad meet?
At the roller skating rink in Grinnell. It was an outdoor one. You know, it wasn't indoors. It was a floor raised off the ground platform. Probably had a couple steps into it, and it had picket fence around the outside. You know, the old corn. Held the corn back in the alleyway of the corn crib, and there was a lady sitting at. They had a little corner partition off, and where she took your money, and I bought my own skates. I think Eleanor had her own skates, but I think you could rent them. Anyway, and we even made little yarn balls to go on the strip. But I was there because after choir practice, often, Mom and Dad took us to skating a lot. Once a week, anyway.
Oh wow!
And Mom and Dad took us that night too. I'm sure.
And so, how old were you?
It was between my sophomore and junior year. Summer. I would have been 16.
Okay. And so, and that's where you met Dad when you were 16?
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize you were that young.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad's 6 years older than you.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd have been 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
he liked to skate. He had his own skates too. And actually, we skated. He asked me to skate, and so we skated together several times. And first, he came with his Army uniform on because he had just gotten back from being at National Guard camp for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And
you like a guy
so
in uniform.
Was he wearing it special to pick up the girl?
probably.
Well, I mean, that worked.
Yeah.
I mean, so a lot of guys did that, right?
Yeah. But then, but he had just gotten home from
Oh, okay, so it was legitimate. Okay.
And he asked me to take me home that night, and I asked Mom and Dad, and they said, okay. So he told me to Uber.
Because you dated someone else in high school, though, too, right?
Yeah, I had a boyfriend in Eldora.
Okay, and that was before or after?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but I thought maybe so from the time that you met Dad, you guys dated and then got married, and you didn't date anyone else after you met Dad.
No.
So,